Holy moly, Tesla's stock is down about 4.5% at the time of recording this video, largely because of Nvidia and a broader sell-off that you are seeing in tech. Here in this video, we will be going over all of your Tesla stock breaking news that you need to know, and trust me, there's a lot of news, but what's really happening here for Tesla and your broader tech? Well, it's pretty simple. I've talked about this numerous times, so I don't want to stick on that too much here in this video, but Nvidia has rallied 50% since last earnings. Nvidia tends to sell off after earnings, so this is a classical sell the potential fact. I mean, if over the last 3 earnings, Nvidia has sold off 10 to 20% the following 4 weeks after earnings, and Nvidia has rallied 50% this time heading into earnings, doesn't it make sense to take some profits now, before earnings? That makes sense to me. But it's really your broader AI theme. SMCI, anything related to AI, is selling off, and that's potentially because Nvidia could really throw some cold water on the AI trade. The question is, does Nvidia sell off 5% after earnings or 20% after earnings? Do you see just the same old, good numbers, good guidance, and Nvidia sells off maybe 5%? Or do you see some kind of demand problem or pricing pressures towards the end of 2024? That could cause Nvidia to sell off 20%. Now, when a stock like Microsoft, for an example, could have roughly $1 trillion of extra value baked into it because of AI, if your godfather, if you will, as Dan Ives would call it, of AI, Nvidia, is forecasting, well, not the greatest things, that's a problem. You could also get into the world of speculation. If someone somewhere already knows something about Nvidia, you could also say that a lot of Nvidia's rally has been fueled by call options, and when you buy a call, the market makers, they sell you the call about 98% of the time because that's their job, and not everyone is going to not enough hedge fund managers, institutions, or retail investors are going to sell calls on Nvidia. That just doesn't happen. So Nvidia's went up so much, market makers have had a lot of exposure to Nvidia. They needed the stock to sell off. That also makes sense. Now, we will talk about this a little bit more in the next video, specifically my expectations around Nvidia and how this could affect Tesla. But as I have said before, a slight sell-off after Nvidia earnings, if we just get the same old, good numbers, good guidance, that could cause a sell-off in Nvidia and a rally in the broader kind of tech world and small cap stocks. But like I said, more on that in the next video. But this weakness you're seeing in Tesla and the broader markets is, well, Nvidia's fault. Now, first up for your Tesla stock news today, it looks like Tesla's auto booth or area at the Toronto Auto Show is completely slammed. Tesla FSD subscriptions potentially launching soon in Canada. Tesla currently charges $200 a month in the US for FSD, which gives you access to FSD beta. And it does look like FSD beta V12 2.1 is now going out to other individuals that are not just employees at Tesla. Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas has released a new Tesla note. Tesla sentiment check. Can bearish be bullish? Now, this is a pretty long note, so we're not going to go over it here in this video because there's a lot of things we need to cover in this particular video. But in the next video, we'll go over this in depth. So stay tuned to the channel for that one. That will be coming out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. And here is another image from Mark Bixby. He says, yes, it's installing as I type this. I'm just a nobody customer in SoCal, and that is FSD Beta V12 2.1. All-electric Mercedes-Benz EQC sedan spied for the first time winter testing. This EV is expected to compete with the Model 3. This could also negatively be affecting Tesla stock today. Ford has cut prices of their 2023 Mustang Mach-E by up to $8,100, and they're offering 0% financing to get rid of existing inventory to make way for the 2024 model. And here is some really good news as well. A total of 92,741 battery electric cars were sold in the EU in January of 2024. That is an increase of 28.9% year over year. Tesla supplier Cattle has reportedly restructured the holdings of 2 top executives to avoid a foreign entity of concern designation under the IRA. Cattle's restructuring could be about qualifying for the IRA's tax incentives in the US. And apparently China loves the Cybertruck, as you can see almost everyone here with their phones out taking pictures. Nvidia is now the most traded stock on Wall Street, overtaking Tesla. And it does appear that Cybertruck deliveries have started in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tesla has won almost 13% of all EV charging awards from the Inflation Reduction Act, more than any other company. EEnews.net says, quote, "They're just a machine. They have a massive team of suppliers and vendors. They can just get this done at the speed of light." Tesla Club India on X says, "Breaking, Tesla India seems to be gearing up to have its first Indian office space operational in Pune, India." And you guys can see the clip here. You already got the Tesla logo, Tesla right there. Pretty interesting. I think it's only a matter of time before Tesla does make its way into India, but the timing on that, who knows? And take a look at that. Elon Musk has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize as a stout proponent of free speech and helping Ukraine to communicate, coordinate, and withstand attack from Russia with Starlink. Global inventory numbers falling across the entire Tesla lineup. Model Y slowly trending lower. Model X, Model S, and Model 3 also seeing a little bit of a decline. This is great news. Google Trends data indicates a slight uptick in search trend activity for the Model Y. The Model 3's falling a little bit. The Cybertruck's really baselining here at about 25, and the Model X normally stays about 9 or 10. So overall, some good numbers that we're seeing from Google Trends data. And Tesla continues to run about 2,000 different ads via Google globally. Sentiment around Tesla on StockTwits is neutral at 49, which is actually better than yesterday when you were at neutral and at 45. So a little bit more bullish sentiment today, so that's good. Message volume yesterday was 35, today it is 47, going from low to normal, and your participation ratio is now high at 57. This just means there's more people talking about Tesla stock, which is good news if you want to see Tesla stock go higher. Over here on Ortex, it says Tesla shares are trading lower after Ford cut prices for the 2023 Mustang Mach-E in Canada, which could cause competition concerns for Tesla. I don't exactly buy that as the reason why Tesla is selling off over 4% today, but it's probably not helping Tesla stock either. Tesla seeing quite a bit of option activity from hedge funds and institutions today. You have seen 727 orders totaling $155.09 million with a positive order value of 53%. Volume today is 64.77% to the call side and 35.23% to the put side. It seems like there is a lot of demand to short Tesla stock today as the cost to borrow fees are back to about 9.87%. The higher the cost to borrow fees, the more shorting activity you're likely seeing on any given day basis. You do have a short interest percentage of free flow at 3.28% and $18.14 billion worth of short positions. The percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average is at 52.1%. So you're still pretty much at a coin toss. About 50% of stocks are above their 50-day moving average. It's not a very healthy market. That's not a very optimistic market, I will say that. And overall, that's down about 3.27% today. We will have some earnings today in after hours with Palo Alto Networks, SolarEdge, Realty Income, Teladoc Health, Caesars, Diamondback Energy, and Toll Brothers. Tomorrow morning, Analog Devices, probably the only significant one to be watching. And then Wednesday and after hours, so tomorrow and after hours, you have Nvidia, Rivian, Etsy, Synopsys, and Lucid, as well as Sonova, Dutch Bros, APA Corporation, Marathon Oil, and Suncor Energy. I'm not convinced Lucid will have a sympathy reaction to Tesla, but Rivian could have a sympathy reaction to Tesla. Like if Rivian gives you good guidance, Tesla stock may also go up at least a little bit on that, and vice versa. If the stock falls, if guidance is bad, Tesla stock can also be influenced by Rivian. I don't think Lucid as much, but probably Rivian. What's actually interesting about the sell-off today you're seeing in markets, 10-year treasury yields are actually down about 3.5 basis points today, so that's particularly not great. The 10-2-year yield curve inversion is inverted about 34 basis points. Actually, that's better than not. You're actually trending lower, getting more inverted. Why do I say that's actually a pretty good thing? Well, because when you go positive here on the yield curve inversion, that's typically when you're about to go into recession. That's typically when stocks start to, see some weakness. Markets are still pricing in 1, 2, 3, 4 rate cuts by the end of 2024. Still pricing in the first rate cut in June. And those odds are at 53.2%. The odds of a pause through June, 22.5%. And the odds of 2 rate cuts by June also at 22.5%. So any data that we get, potential weakness in stocks could also move these probabilities around. Like for an example, if Nvidia were to fall like 20%, the Fed has said that stocks falling could actually cause them to, change their policy and to adjust their policy. I believe they said that 2 Fed meetings ago, and we just haven't seen that yet. Stocks have been going pretty much straight up, but if stocks were to go through a sharp kind of pullback here, it could influence what the Fed does decide to do. Nonetheless, today on a technical basis, Tesla stock is doing just fine. You do have the inverse head and shoulders. There's the shoulder, here's the inverse head, here's the other shoulder. You've broken out above that. You came down, tested the shoulder line, found support, bounced up today. So that is great news. I think really on Wednesday, that's going to be the test on whether this inverse head and shoulders pattern does continue to cause a rally in Tesla, or if things do cool down over the broader markets. And again, if we get status quo earnings from Nvidia, good guidance, good numbers, beats across the board, which I think is probably the most likely scenario at this point, I think Tesla stock benefits from that. I think Nvidia probably sells off 3 to 5%. Now, if you get demand concerns, pricing concerns in 2024, then Nvidia is going to sell off like 20%, and that's going to be bad news for Tesla. Now, if for whatever reason Nvidia does come out with some kind of disaster quarter, disaster guidance, and we do get that large decline, everything's going to take a big hit, and Tesla stock could even fall back to about 182. That looks like the level I would be targeting. If worse came to worse, then this trend line probably holds true. This is from the gap up that you seen back here on January 26th, 2023, when Tesla went up 11%. You followed this pre-gap up line on the trend that is now 3 touches. If you start to fall back down, that's probably where you find support, and that is somewhere in the neighborhood around 178 or so. I do think the most likely outcome from here is we do fill the gap to the upside, which would be at about 207. You could make the argument 210 would be a nice round number. And considering Tesla did sell off so much today, getting some positions now makes a lot more sense in Tesla than it did previously. If you were bullish on Friday, nothing has changed today, if that makes sense. Tesla's RSI is at 43.18. Again, normally when Tesla hits 30 or under on the RSI, you tend to bounce to about 70. You tend to get a rally of about 30%. Now, we talked about this in the last video. If you guys have not seen it, if you connect from the lows and go up 30%, which is the typical bounce you get when Tesla hits 30 on the RSI, that would put Tesla stock at almost exactly the 100-day moving average. I don't really think that's a huge coincidence, which would be about $227 or so. So if things do play out like I think they could, then Tesla stock could see some pretty dramatic upside from here. And here on the day today, if you actually look at the activity around Tesla, tons of activity around the $200 call. Take a look at this. 202,000 calls that were bought at the 200 call. That's insane today. But even crazier, total call volume is 1.03 million today. Total put volume is 595,000. There are a lot more calls that are being bought today than puts, and I think that's actually a better sign of what could be coming next for Tesla than actually looking at, what Tesla stock is doing today. The stock's down 4%, but really people are pretty dang bullish on Tesla today, which I find interesting. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Also worth mentioning, the triple Qs, the NASDAQ 100, down about 1% today. So overall, kind of a broad sell-off. The dollar is down about 0.25%. That's actually great news. If the dollar can start to fall here, that would support maybe a broadening out of our markets, which this dollar rally has been weird because the dollar has been rising. The markets have been rising as well on your index level. That is because of Nvidia. That is because of your AI names, when in all reality, the dollar hit its low on December 28th, and what has happened to the average stock? The average stock has been declining since December 28th. So the dollar typically correlates with the S&P 500, but it has not lately. And they typically have an inverse correlation, right? When the dollar falls, stocks tend to do well, broadly speaking. When the dollar rises, stocks tend to do poorly. The dollar has been rising since December 28th, again, and the indexes have been doing very well. You may need to see a catch up here and potentially a fall in the broader markets. I think that is something we need to talk about a little bit more in the next video. I will share with you guys the ways that I am positioning for this in the next video as well. If you guys in the meantime want to come join the trading community, get access to all of the trades that I am making live in real time, as well as other great members in that community, check out the link down below in the description of this video. And also, go ahead and follow the X account. It's Michael Tyler over there. It costs you nothing to do so. It's free 99. Nonetheless, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.